Morning, welcome to the Roscommon County Board of Commissioners special meeting. Good morning, welcome to the Roscommon County Board of Commissioners special meeting agenda, February 4th, 2022, 10 a.m. hybrid, accessible in person or via Zoom. Everyone please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Mr. Melvin, would you lead us in the pledge, please?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Item 3, roll call of board members. Teresa, please.
Russo,
Present.
Melvin,
Here.
Schneider,
Here.
Milburn,
Here.
Muckenthaler.
Okay, thank you. Item 4, approval of the agenda, please.
So move, Mr. Chair.
Second. Motion was made by Commissioner Milburn, seconded by Commissioner Russo to approve the agenda. Any further discussion in regards to the agenda from any commissioner at this time, please? Hearing or seeing none, roll call.
Melvin,
Yes.
Schneider,
Yes.
Muckenthaler,
Yes.
Milburn,
Yes.
Russo.
Yes. Okay, item number 5, public comment. Agenda items only, limited to 5 minutes. Have any public comment at this time, please? There is another one at the end, so.
Anything on Zoom?
Anything on Zoom? Make sure I don't miss anybody. Nothing, Andy, thank you. All right. Item 6, under new business. Item A, Houghton Lake resolution to initialize lake level special assessment district. And so that is Commissioner Russo and Commissioner Melvin have been assigned to that. So, and this is where we brought this forward. One of you two people want to kick this off on what's going on, or are we going to involve, I'm sure, our controller?
We could start what we have, Jody, if you want to, with the information.
Sure. So what I will start with, just a quick summary of where you are at. Several months ago, you did make the determination via motion to authorize to move forward with the processes of creating a special assessment district for Houghton Lake level control structure, with the additional 2 to follow later down the road for the other 2 lakes. We obviously have Stacy, and then he was up there someplace. Kyle was on there someplace for a while. Yep, he's still there. Okay, that have been retained for the purposes with this, and we are working with Spicer Group. We are to the point now where there is a resolution that must be passed by the Board of Commissioners to continue to move forward with the process. And I think probably the best thing to do is have Stacy explain what that resolution does and what decisions you need to make before passing the resolution.
Thank you, Jody. So as we discussed at your last meeting, and you have the resolution before you, as you're aware, there's a lake level established through the circuit court for Houghton Lake, but we do not have an accompanying lake level district. And it is highly recommended that a lake level special assessment district be established for every established lake level. And so the purpose of the resolution is to authorize moving forward with the establishment of a lake level district and retaining Spicer Group and Fahey Schultz to work on that on your behalf. So the first step in setting up the special assessment district is to set up the boundaries of the special assessment district. And under Part 307 of the Natural Resources and Environmental Protection Act, that first step is by filing a petition with Roscommon County Circuit Court, because they have continuing jurisdiction over any established lake level, to confirm boundaries that we would recommend for the special assessment district. We would file a petition with recommendations of what those boundaries are. That's basically who's in and who's out. And then the court would have a hearing in court, but it would be open and notice to everyone who owns property within the boundaries that we recommend. And so the circuit court would then hear testimony and make a determination as to the boundaries. As we discussed at our last meeting, this is a very unique statute that allows assessments to the Michigan Department of Natural Resources. And since they are a major stakeholder on this lake, that would allow assessments be levied to the state of Michigan for the benefit to the Department of Natural Resources for any boat launches, properties, et cetera, along the lake, campgrounds, et cetera. So it is in everyone's best interest to establish this special assessment district. After the boundaries are confirmed by the court and we have the costs of improvements to the lake level control structure, then we would move forward with a second hearing where everyone would be noticed. That would be held in a different location than the court. It would not be through circuit court, but by the county delegated authority, which we'll get to in a minute, that would provide project cost and the methodology for special assessments, along with what the amount of special assessments would be and how many years those special assessments would be levied over. So the resolution would allow us to move forward to circuit court, would approve spending more than $10,000, because any expense more than $10,000 has to be approved by the County Board of Commissioners. And then also the appointment of a delegated authority to take action on behalf of the County Board of Commissioners so that we don't have to meet as to every single issue. This resolution is consistent with, I want to say, dozens, maybe not quite 100, but dozens and dozens of these that I've done across the state of Michigan in terms of taking the steps to establish a special assessment district. So with that, if anyone has any questions, I'd be happy to address the board.
Okay. Mr. Russo? Your thing's not.
I know we discussed this 2 weeks ago or last weekend here. I think it's something we need to move forward on. The situation we have with the Halton Lake control structure, it just can't be in the standings as it is right now. We do need to take that step forward. Once this gets done, is that when we could apply for some grants monies that's out there?
So a lake level district is always eligible to apply for grants. That is definitely something that is possible, and there is current legislation that has monies available for lake level projects. That I think is specifically in the water supplemental bill that is still before the legislature, but that is definitely a possibility, sir.
Okay, thank you. My next question is, we have a temporary plate over 2 of the gates. So that's why we need to move forward with this to make the proper repairs so we can adjust the levels as they're needed. Right now, I'm only running with 2 gates out of 5. Thank you for your time.
Okay, Commissioner Melvin.
Yes, Stacy, question for you. You kind of said before that we're kind of the anomaly because we don't have a special assessment district already established with a lake level. Is it my understanding that when most lake levels are established at approximately the same time, they establish an assessment district to go along with it? Is that the way it's normally done?
So the Lake Level Act was, I'm going to give you a long answer because I guess that's what attorneys do. The short answer is yes. There are some reasons why that didn't always happen, because the original Lake Level Act was in the 1920s and there was several amendments to it, and they didn't add in the part about setting up a special assessment district. It already always referred to kind of the drain code until the 1960s. And so If you had a lake level established after the 1960s, it would be normal course to establish a special assessment district when you did that. If you had a lake level established before the 1960s, then counties are catching up on establishing those after the fact to make them consistent with the law. And your memory, you were paying attention to me, sir, with regard to my report last time. I work for over 60 different counties with regards to drains and lake levels. And we have working with many of the counties to clean these special assessment districts up. And it's very unusual. And I can't even think of another county right now that doesn't have a special assessment district associated with their lake level, especially for lakes of these size.
Thank you.
Okay. Anything else, Ken?
No.
Stacy, in regards to that lake level grant money that's out there, were you referring to the 500 million that the state set aside for dam repairs? And it basically had come from the Midland Edenville dam failure. Is that the fund? That hasn't been approved yet?
So excellent question. So the water supplemental, and it's a Senate bill that has passed the Senate and currently before the House, definitely includes monies for the Midland Dam situation, but there are additional monies. The legislature recognized that that's not the only dam that has problems in the state of Michigan. And so additional monies are going to be available through a grant program for other lakes with water control structures that have issues above and beyond just the Midland folks.
Right. And I've had some contact with actually with a commissioner from Midland County down there. And naturally they'd like to get all 500 million, but that's not going to be the case. And the only way that we can get part of that is we got to make sure we get in there.
Yeah, the supplemental includes money for Midland specifically, but then also money for other parts of the state that is already in there. So it's actually more than the 500 million.
Right. And our situation in Houghton Lake would be eligible for that, right?
Yes, it would be eligible, but I don't want to get your hopes up that you're going to get your project paid for, because there are, probably, I can't remember what the number of thousands of regulated water control structures there are in the state. And so there's going to be a lot of people vying for that money, but because you have a project ready to go, that may be taken into consideration. So I don't want to guarantee that you're going to get money, but there are a significant amount of monies available above and beyond what will go to Midland County.
Right. I know there's no guarantees, but at the same time, it would probably, if we're going to push forward on this project, we need to get a hold of our senator and our representative and any other contacts that we've got down there to make sure that we do end up doing what we can to get that money. So, and I personally, I haven't reached out to Senator Vanderwall yet or Representative Rendon. So that's something that's going to need to be done too.
Yeah, so when you're having those discussions, it is Senate Bill 565. And it has passed the Senate and it's currently in the House. And they know that there will be changes to that. And so I am reading page 3 of the Senate bill, and there is $650 million in for dam risk reduction revolving loan fund, 15 million for emergency dam safety action fund, emergency safety grant program, 15 million. So there's quite a bit of money in there.
Right.
That 15 million for the emergency action, we would kind of qualify for that because, am I correct or no?
So the supplemental bill doesn't give necessarily who qualifies for what or what the rules are. That will be sent to Eagle to help administer. And so the dam safety unit would, once this passes, have more information relative to that. And after this passes, the dam safety bills need to be passed that allow that to happen. And so there's going to be a lot happening this spring with regard to that. Always a good idea to keep in touch with your senator and your local representative so they can be aware of what your needs are. and that you have one ready to go.
Okay. Commissioner Melvin.
Well, I just came up with another question, Stacy. Who is going to apply for this grant and at what point? What point do we have to be in this process? Do we just have to have this resolution approved and sent to the circuit court, or does the circuit court have to take action before we are an entity that can apply for a grant?
So the rules, again, this is just in a bill, and so the rules as to eligibility, et cetera, are not clarified in any manner. When you read Senate Bill 565, you'll be like, holy smokes, how are they going to hand out all this money? So I'm not sure, but I do know that you need to go through this process in circuit court. I mean, whether this is ready or not for the grant monies, you still are required under the Part 315 because of the issues with your water control structure to move quickly. And we have to have this special assessment district in place in order for those repairs to take place.
Okay.
So the short answer
Any other
is,
questions?
I don't know yet, and the state doesn't know yet.
Okay. Any other questions regarding that? Let's get down to, I think the question is the delegated authority that I personally understand how this resolution is written and what it's about. It's a first step and it's authorizing the first step to start. But we do have to name a delegated authority. And I was just wondering if Commissioner Russo and Commissioner Melvin have come up with a delegated authority for this.
Until we put it soil erosion and name the person in there, we could put, because they're going to do everything, Jody's name as the contact person in there right now.
So you're looking at an administrator controller being the initial contact person to get this first step started.
Correct.
Okay. All right. Yes.
So Stacy,
Yes.
if they pass this resolution with the administrator controller position in, how do they make it not be the administrator controller once the assessment is done and turn it over to Drain Commissioner Soil Erosion? Just a new.
Okay. So the delegated authority is at the pleasure of the County Board of Commissioners. And so the county board can change its mind who the delegated authority is by resolution. So whenever it would be appropriate to make that change, that can happen by resolution.
Okay. All right.
And section MCL 324. I just wanted to point out that it is authorized to make the county administrator or that position a delegated authority. I'm referring to MCL 324.30701E, which defines a delegated authority as the drain commissioner or any other person designated by the county to perform duties under this act.
Okay, Mr. Melvin, anything to add in regards to the delegated authority?
No.
Mr. Milburn?
I just want to make a couple comments. Obviously the decisions we make today collectively as a board will reverberate through our town and county for years to follow. It is imperative that we take a proactive, intelligent, well thought out approach to this, and I think we are. And I support your recommendation, Mr. Russo. Thank you, sir. And also I would like to add is, as we go through this, I think public input is essential for this process.
Oh, I agree 100%. And this is just the first step to put a name on there,
I appreciate
on the face of the bill.
all I have, sir. Thank you.
Mr. Muckenthaler?
I agree with everything you guys said. We need to get this project rolling. And it sounds like Fahey and Schultz and Spicer Group's going to be doing most all the work. And like I said, if we need to change the delegated authority at any time, we have that power to do it.
My statement on this is that I'm looking at this as the whole county, but this is a big deal. Anytime any of our control structures need some work, unfortunately, with the funding mechanism that we have at this point, for millage, the general fund in the general fund is not intended for lake level control structures for infrastructure of lake level control structures. And so I look at all three of them, and we've had them inspected every 3 years like we're supposed to have, and now we've got a problem with Houghton Lake. Houghton Lake is our oldest control structure, which was, if you're going to have problems, it's going to be with the oldest ones. But even down the road, the other two may have to be looked at also, and we need to have a funding mechanism in place for those two. But this is the first step to get something rolling. We got some opportunities here to find some money from the state. I'm hoping that we can be successful. You don't see it until they actually give you the money, but you need to get a yes or you need to get a no. And right now we're not even in the game. We got to get into the game. This is the first step. I agree with the delegated authority. Down the road, I think I would think that we need to take that away from the controller, and we need to get a job description of what that person is going to look like down the road. In other words, if that's going to be and then it's going to have to be funded, salary wise. You can't expect somebody to do it for nothing. Okay. I mean, you can't look at the drain commissioner and expect him to do it for what he's being paid now. There ain't no way. So, but we need to look and we need to know what that job description going to look like and what's it going to be called, and this is something that we've never done before. So this starts the first step. And so at this point, to start the first step, I would recommend that we put Jody Valentino in as our administrative controller as a delegated authority. So, and the other thing, just like to add, is our three lakes, and Mr. Milburn has alluded to this, and I think he takes credit for coining the phrase, but it's the other Great Lakes. But this county doesn't move without our lakes. It is our number one asset. So, okay, yes.
I don't normally tell you guys no, and I'm not going to say no at this point with what you're asking for. I just want to clarify two things. The first one would be this isn't forever, correct? The intention is when Houghton Lake's assessment district is done, it gets handed off to the drain commissioner and not me, right?
Right,
Okay. The second portion of that is we did just agree to have me with no additional income take on the remonumentation. I do not think that's something I should or could do while I'm doing this. I know Marv does not want it in an elected official's office, which leaves us with equalization. So I will need to see if that's something they can tackle as well. If that's okay. All right, I will do that.
I'm in agreement with that.
Definitely.
All right. We didn't know that this was going to be coming.
No.
And it's not intended to do, and I tell you what, and not intended to make Jody's wagon any heavier, okay? So I in agreement with that. We need to put that remonumentation clerk in a different spot. So we can work on that. All right, that's a separate issue from this. But for you, it's not. All right. Yes, sir.
When David and I were looking into this, I did reach out to another county and talk to a water resource person, the director of the water resource department in Washtenaw County. And basically that is, it's morphed from the drain commissioner. They no longer have a drain commissioner as such. They have this water resource department, which has to be set up. And you would have to do that before you just can't go and say all of a sudden Rex is going to be a water resource person. He was elected to a position with a job description and an assignment. So before there would be another election, if we have enough time, and that's the desire and the direction we want to go, then we would need to establish the criteria and the function of a water resource person that works
In the soil erosion division, it's two separate positions or jobs per se.
So if it's okay with the board, could I clarify on that statement?
Go ahead.
All right, so, you talked to, most likely, it sounds like you talked to Evan Pratt, who is the Washtenaw County Water Resources Commissioner. And basically, the Water Resources Commissioner is the exact same thing as the Drain Commissioner. And if the Drain Commissioner petitions the County Board of Commissioners to change the name. So it would be a name change only, and I think we have 7 or 8 maybe water resources commissioners in the state who wanted their name changed from Drain Commissioner to Water Resources Commissioner. And regardless of whether that office is called Water Resources Commissioner or Drain Commissioner, they serve the same function, which would be delegated authority when needed under Part 307 and also administer the drain code.
Is that, Stacy, is that are those elected positions?
Yes, and so in some counties, it's called the Drain Commissioner, in some counties, it's called the Water Resources Commissioner, but it's an elected county position, presidential election years.
Okay. All right. So that doesn't have any bearing with what we're talking about doing as far as this resolution right now, because this is just the first step, but that is something down the road that's going to have to be ironed out. So Commissioner Russo and Commissioner Melvin, I would think that you could possibly get some job descriptions from these other counties or some comparable.
It's just a name change. It's the same, they do the same exact job.
Well, I know,
It
but
doesn't come from the Drain Commissioner, we
but
can't.
can you get a copy of their responsibilities, or they must have a job description?
When it comes time, I can certainly help Ms. Valentino with what I would consider counties that have the same amount of responsibilities in that office as Roscommon County would.
Okay. Rex, we can't, you're gonna have to come up, Rex, because and get you on the mic,
Get on the mic.
okay, because turn
My research on this has been, since 2 commissioners asked me to check into it, is we can't compare to Oakland County.
correct.
Okay, the more things, more duties you put on that department, the more ancillary staff has to go with it. Our county can't afford that neither. Calhoun County is probably about the closest thing I could find. And like Stacy said, Water Resource Commissioner, Drain Commissioner, they're the same person, just different name. In Calhoun County, they're in charge of drain districts, which the Drain Commissioner is. They're also in charge of municipality stormwater, which we don't have that issue in this county. And they're also in charge of lake level control. And that's the extent of their office. Some of them throw in soil erosion, they throw in sanitary sewers, and even some of them, potable water. We're not that county. Like I said, these people, the bigger they get, some of them don't even know where their office is. And unless you want to put on more ancillary staff, my recommendation is to keep it as Drain Commissioner, stormwater drains, and lake level control in that department.
Okay, well, like I say, that's got nothing to do with this resolution that we're looking at to start the process, but that's something we need to get ironed out.
Yes.
And because that'll be coming down the line. How many more steps we got on this thing, Stacy? 2 or 3 or 4, don't we?
Yep. Closer to 4,
Yep.
closer to way more than 4.
Okay. All right. I think as far as commissioners, we know where we're going with this. Unless anybody else has anything to add, commissioners. Nope. Okay. And we'll go to item number 7, public comment, please, 5 minutes. Yes, sir. Norm Fulmer.
Good morning. My name is Norm Fulmer, representing.
Come right up, sir, and sit down and get in front of the mic.
Again, my name is Norm Fulmer, representing the Houghton Lake Improvement Board. I received a call about 3 weeks ago from Luke O'Brien at the Spicer Group seeking information from the Improvement Board's assessment roles. I advised him at the time that we had a meeting coming up and I would take that before the board. The board made a motion and it was passed that we share information with the Spicer Group, which I have sent that to Luke. And I had a conversation with Jody as well. The board agrees that we will assist in any way we can since we have an established assessment role. And I did locate a map that I'm willing to lend you if it helps in any way. We would be happy to assist. We are, I think, in our 5th renewal for our assessment district. So we have some experience in this and we're offering our assistance in any way that we can.
Okay.
Thank you.
We can probably make a copy of that map.
You know, yeah, I don't know how long they kept the files. It might be,
Well,
I'll give it to
you
you.
can look into it.
Yeah.
David will look into it. Okay, who's out there? Or me, Diane Randall, where are you, Diane? There you are. Okay, I can hear you and I can see you. Are you ready to go? Okay,
All set?
we can hear you now. Okay.
All right, great. Hey, thank you so much. Actually, I just became aware of this meeting after reading in the paper. So I would hope there would have been a little bit more public discussion, maybe with the townships or so we could have some of our input on it as well. First of all, I'd just like to say, I feel it's time that Roscommon County obtained a lake manager because we have three of the largest lakes in Michigan and the rivers that are part of the watershed. I think that you could have a separate board, perhaps with the drain commissioner, perhaps with the county administrator, and maybe a third at-large person to oversee this lake manager. But I think it's time we look at all of our water systems and not just Houghton Lake and have Houghton Lake being charged an additional assessment. I think we need to make sure you get more public input on this issue. And so I'm hoping that this is just a step to get more public input on what you're thinking of doing. Thank you so much.
Thank you for your comments. Any other public comment at this time? I got to make sure I pay attention to the screen and yes, ma'am. Come on up and identify yourself, please.
I'm Sharon Micah. I'm just a resident of Lake Township. And we're just here because we did read the thing in the paper as well, but I just hope that I guess I'm just concerned about the assessment itself. I mean, with everything going on right now and the inflation the way it is, I'm already assessed through the Houghton Lake Improvement Board to pay for the weeds in the lake, which I don't feel that should be just my responsibility. So I don't know what you're looking at for a district here, but I hope you're looking at everybody because everybody benefits from this lake, just not the people around the lake. And to assess us another assessment, I think is really putting pressure on the people around the lake. And I'm glad to hear you're looking at grants. There's got to be some state money, federal money, something out there to help us with this. I mean, to do assessment, to just do maintenance is one thing, but I don't know what you're looking at for the amount that's going to be assessed to us. But I'm really concerned about it.
Thank you for your comments. Any other public comment at this time, please?
Hello.
Leroy, go ahead, Leroy.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, a
Can you hear
little,
me?
if you can turn up your volume, it'd be great, but I don't know if you can.
Okay, yeah, I don't think I can right here on the fly, Chairman Schneider. I've lived
Okay, I think-
I've lived around Houghton Lake for over 50 years now. And this is the subject of lake levels is something that I can remember being discussed even back when I was 11 years old. As far as I can tell, and I've used all of the lakes in this county, the actual lake levels affect only the people that are living on the lake. I'm a little concerned that we might have a special assessment that is going to regulate them and force people that are unaffected by the actual level of the lake to pay for it. Our lakes aren't going to go anywhere. You could take out the water control structure on Houghton Lake, take out the lake water control structure on Higgins Lake, and Houghton Lake and Higgins Lake are still going to be there. There may be slight difference in the actual level, maybe 6 inches, maybe a foot, but it's not going to affect the lakes themselves. Those were artificial constructs that humans put in place. And this is basically the beginning of the watershed for central Michigan. I understand that most of this resolution is designed to get us into the pool for whatever grant monies may be available. I get that, but I would urge caution as far as what the assessment is going to be for people that don't actually live right on the lake. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you for your comments, Leroy. Any other public comment out there, please? Any other public comment in front of me here, please? Okay, well, as you can see that this is a special meeting and this was not intended. We're not going to pass. I'm not going to allow any action on this resolution today because this is the start of public comment and getting input on this. So at this point, I'm not bringing this forward. We did our agenda meeting yesterday for next Wednesday's meeting. It is not on for a motion for next week. Because it wasn't brought to us at the agenda committee meeting yesterday. So at this point, we're not intending on bringing this next
That's
week, right?
perfectly fine, because I don't want the people thinking we had a special meeting, we're voting on it Wednesday just to push this.
No.
And it's perfectly fine to wait 2 weeks.
Okay. And, and I feel that this is the start of the process to get it out there publicly. So, and I want to make sure that we do our due diligence on this to get this out there because, there's opportunities out there to get money and I don't want to miss out on those either. So, with that, do we want this back on our work session for next week for more discussion? Don't need to be, okay, that's fine. But we got it out there?
Yeah.
Okay. Right. Okay. So at this point, if there's no other public comment, I'm going to go right to number 8, adjournment. Yes, Mr. Milburn.
Jody has one thing too.
Obviously, you've hired me to be your administrator controller, which means I look over your money and give you the best advice I can based on the status of where we are at. There is no money in the general fund to fix the Houghton Lake level control structure. That is why we are where we are right now. I can tell you in 8 years of digging through Houghton Lake, Higgins Lake, and Lake St. Helen histories that, with the exception of the current prosecuting attorney, because this issue has not been brought to her, each prosecuting attorney that you have had, including an assistant prosecuting attorney and two road commission attorneys years ago, wrote letters to variations of the board throughout the years, telling them that they needed to establish the mechanisms to fund the lake level control structures that they had in place, or we would end up where we are now. So my thought process to you is that we do currently have those two steel boards in place. They can't stay there forever. We have been extended through the end of September at this point by the DEQ. So absolutely, we need public input. But the bottom line is it can't be fixed. I am somebody that is currently in my own little world of my township going through something fairly similar to probably what you guys are feeling right now, where I'm trying to figure out how $40,000 over the next 30 years is valuable to me. So making sure that people understand why this is important. Lake levels are decisions that are made by the population. The lake level special assessment districts are the mechanism to which the law allows for general upkeep and repair.
Okay. Any other public comment at this time?
Commissioner, before we lose the Zoom, I want to just, if it's all right, quickly make a comment for the benefit of Supervisor Randall. She's just the lucky person because we're starting with Houghton Lake first, but all of the established lake levels in Roscommon County are going to go through this process. We're starting with Houghton Lake first because they're the one that has imminent improvements needed. And so this will also happen with Higgins Lake and Lake St. Helen. So it is going to be consistent throughout the county. And then we have you are actually on Kyle's and my list to speak to and get input from. Once we got the Lake Level Improvement Board's district boundaries, to get input from each of the townships involved in the potential special assessment district, so that we make sure you're comfortable with it also. And so we will be setting up an appointment with you and can tell you kind of where we're at and also answer any other questions that you might have.
Great. I look
Mr.
forward
Melvin.
to that. And actually, the former DNR administrator would be happy to join me too, because he was actually the one several years ago who suggested to me that our county get a lake manager. And I just think that that's extremely important. And I think we should look at if it's possible, look at all of these great water ways that we have within our community now, and instead of maybe just piecing them one by one. So thank you. I look forward to that conversation.
Mr. Melvin?
A question came to me after Norm Fulmer's public comment. I believe he said something to the effect that the improvement board has a renewal. Stacy, is the assessment district for lake level, is that permanent, or does that also have a time limit and a renewal?
So, Mr. Fulmer's board is acting under Part 309 of NREPA, which is basically the weed management, and 307 is lake levels. So the lake level district will be in perpetuity, but there won't be assessments every year, only when costs are incurred. The Part 309 district is also in perpetuity, or that board is there unless it's formally abandoned by statute. But what Mr. Fulmer is referring to is that a weed management program, which is why when assessments are levied, has to be renewed every 5 years in order for those assessments to continue. And I'd love to speak more on that, but Kyle O'Mara knows a lot more about it than I do, and I'm gleefully let him handle those kind of questions.
Okay. Any other public comment out there? And I'd just like to add that, we're just starting the process right here. So this is, we want to get it out there to the public. I encourage the public to weigh in on this. We're all public servants, and Commissioner Milburn has referred to that is that we always take any public comment and respectfully, so. We're just starting it out, okay? At this point. Anything else in public comment? I want to make sure I got everybody. Okay, I will entertain a motion for adjournment.
So move, Mr. Chair.
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Milburn, seconded by Commissioner Russo to adjourn. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Have a great weekend.